Hi, welcome back everyone. Kelly here with the Siren and the Pirate jewelry for the adventurer, and today I'm showing you a tutorial on how to make this wire woven pendant. It's been a while since I've done anything this elaborate, so I hope you enjoy it. I did this yesterday and I sort of took notes, so I'm going to do my best to work off of memory. I tried to film this tutorial as soon as I could after making it, so hopefully I remember all the steps. We will put that to the test. Stay tuned. Here's what you're gonna need. I'm working with copper wire today and only 2 gauges, 20 gauge wire and 28 gauge wire. I get all of my wire from Rio Grande because I can get it in these big spools and I get a great value, but I work a lot with copper and wire, so if you're not looking to get this size, I would suggest going to Amazon, or there's probably some other places out there, but that's the second place I would go. Tools. These are my go-to tools. You need a cutting tool. It does not have to be exactly like mine, but I do have the link for this Xuron cutting tool. I have these flat nose, kind of wide nose pliers. I have nylon jaw. You may not need these, but I always have these on hand. And then I have this Xuron needle nose pliers. I've started to put all the links to my tools down below so that you can find them as well. If you don't have these exact tools, no problem. You mainly just need a cutting tool and then a regular pliers, like a chain nose pliers. That'll do fine. The bead I'm using is an 8mm bead. In the first pendant, I used a black onyx gemstone bead. Today, for this one, I'll be using a carnelian gemstone bead because I think the colors go so well together. So again, just 8mm bead, and if you don't have that exact size, you could use different sizes. You just have to make little adjustments to make it work for the pendant. This pendant uses 4 different types of weaves. We have a 2-2 weave with 3 base wires. I don't know why this isn't focusing. There we go. So it's this one up top. And we have I guess that's just a 2-2 weave with 2 base wires. We have a single coil weave, and then below, which you can't see it because it's the base, is what I call a ladder weave. I'm not sure if that's the correct name. I have a reference video and I call it a 6-1 weave. This will actually be a 7-1 weave. So you'll be using 7 base wires. So if you're not used to making weaves that large or using that many base wires, this could be a challenge for you, but you gotta try it out to learn it. I have separate tutorials on how to do all of these weaves, so if you need a little bit more attention or detail to help you work through these weaving patterns, check those out. They're all listed below in the description box. As well as troubleshooting videos. So if you're having trouble getting your weave to turn out looking nice, I have a couple videos. They're called Why Your Weave Looks Whack. So different troubleshooting, I'll walk you through some techniques to help you smooth out your weaves. So all of those listed below. Come along, we shall make something happen. Using your 20 gauge wire, cut 7 pieces, each of them 20 centimeters or about 8 inches. Now yesterday I used 9 inches to start, so I'm cutting it down by 1 inch just to help save or minimize the amount of scraps we have afterwards. So hopefully everything still turns out okay. I felt comfortable taking off 1 inch, but now I'm worried. Nothing to be worried about. All right, we are going to be doing a ladder weave or a 7-1 weave with all of these wires starting 7 centimeters from the left. And I apologize if you're left-handed and you work the opposite way. You're gonna have to do your best with my right-hand instructions. We'll be using 28 gauge wire as our weaving wire. I tend to work right off of the spool, so I get a little out. If you have another method you want to use, that's fine. I lay this next to me and just work right off the spool. The most challenging part, I think, is just getting this weave started, and until you have a few rotations done, it's kind of hard to juggle everything. So I'm gonna place my tail on that 7 centimeter mark on the back side of the base wire, and I'm gonna coil around it. We'll just do 2 wraps for this first one to get it secured. Okay, and then I'll take my next base wire, place it on top of the other one, and pretty much I'm going up the ladder. I'm doing 1 coil around each base wire. And again, I have a separate tutorial on this, so if you need a little bit more detail, go around the 3rd one, check out that video. Fifth one, go around. Try to keep them the same distance apart over here on the left side. Okay, one more. Okay, I'm getting ready to put the 7th wire on top. I will not be going completely around the top wire. Instead, I'll be going back down the ladder. So I go to the back side and down. And then over here, I'm gonna try to separate these. This is the part that's probably gonna bug your eyes out because it really bugs my eyes out. Do my best to work into the camera frame here. So I'm going back down, and then I'll be going between wires 5 and 6. So I come from behind, go between, and now I can start to work front to back and do 1 coil down each of the wires. So I have to go up and around wire 6, down the back side, between wires 3 and 4, up and around wire 4, down again, between wires 2 and 3, up and around wire 3, down, between wires 1 and 2, up and around wire 2. Now when I get to the bottom wire, I'm going to do the same thing I did at the top so that I can go back up the ladder. So I'm not going to do a full coil around. I'm just going to go up and over, or up and around wire 1, not around. I gotta choose my words carefully. Just up between wires 2 and 3, and then around wire 2. Now I can go up, I can go around wire 3, up and around wire 4, up and around wire 5, up and around wire 6, and then just up and over, but not around wire 7. I'm going to continue to go back down the ladder. So going up and back down is considered one rotation, and you can count your rotations just by the top. So 1, 2 rotations. Well, it will be 2 complete rotations once I take it all the way down. So basically I have 1.5 rotations right now. We will be doing 13 rotations of this. So make sure, this is in the troubleshooting videos, that you're compressing your weave so everything remains tight and compact and clean. And at this time, because we don't have many rotations done, you can still move your weave around. So double check to make sure you've got your measurement correct and that you're still at that 7 centimeter mark from the left as your starting point. All right, so to keep this video from being too long, I am gonna work off camera, do the 13 rotations, and then bring you back. Oh yes, I was also gonna mention, I mentioned that I have tutorials on these weaves. If you go to my website, www.thesirenandthepirate.com, on one of my pages, I'm trying to think where it is, probably on the Learn to Wire Weave page, there is a PDF tutorial section, and I have free PDF downloads of how to do these same weaves. So if you prefer, you need a little bit like closer photo, go check those out. You can download them for free. Once you have the 13 rotations done, you can go ahead and trim the tail from the beginning. I already did that. Make sure it's pushed down. And then, just because we are going to be doing some other weaves first, let's go ahead and make sure that you coil this around the bottom wire to end, act like a stopper, and then we'll trim off this tail as well. All right, make sure everything is compressed, looking good. Now at the bottom, take the wires, 3 wires on, I guess if we're looking at it this way, maybe that's best. 3 wires to the left, let's just kind of move those off to the side. And the 3 wires on the right, move those off to the side. So that you're just left with this middle wire. This is the wire we're going to place the bead on. Next, we will be doing a single coil down this wire. And I'm not sure how much we're going to do. It needs to be able to wrap around the whole bead. So I'm going to do some coils and start to go around and then just add coils as needed. So I can get this started. Get a few coils, smush them together, and then push this down. And now I will continue coiling down the wire. So far I've coiled about 3 centimeters, and I'm going to trim off this tail now that's at the beginning. So we're going to make a counterclockwise rotation around the bead. Just get it going here. Come around. Actually, that just about got it where I want it. So let's trim off the tail. And we won't need all of this, so I'm gonna trim it down. So that there's about a little under, what is that? I can't hardly see. Like 8.8 centimeters or 8 millimeters. And then I will use either these I can use these pliers. If you have round nose pliers, that would probably be ideal. But I'm gonna grab it and just curl it in like that. Now, if you're looking at your pendant, we're gonna use these 3 wires on the left side. So I'm gonna turn it. And with the 3 wires, I'm gonna do a 2-2 weave. So I will start on this bottom wire and get it latched on with 1 coil, so it's attached. And then this weave will be doing 2 coils around wires 1 and 2. So I go all the way around, and then I go around again into the back side. Now, instead of coming all the way around, I'm going to go between wires 1 and 2. So now I can go up and over and around wires 2 and 3. So I do 1 coil around, and then to go all the way back down and switch sides, I go down the back side, up and around wires 1 and 2. Up and around between wires 2 and 3, between wires 1 and 2 to change and go up. Now I'm going through the direction for this kind of fast, so I do apologize. But again, like I said, I have those reference videos. If you need to take the time, slow down, and learn how to do these weaves, they are there to help you learn. This tutorial is more focused on the design rather than all the techniques and stuff. Otherwise, it just gets a little too lengthy. So as I'm going, I want this weave to, it's hard because it's already curving around. That's okay. Just get it squished in there so it's as close to the 7-1 weave as possible. There we go. And again, I don't know how many, we're gonna find out how many rotations we need. But let me show you on the pendant what we're doing. So we're making this weave right here. So on the back side coming off of the 7-1, these 3 wires are gonna curve sharply in a clockwise rotation and then go up and come around the back side. So it doesn't have to be that many rotations. Let me go ahead and get it going, and then I'll bring you back and tell you how many I did. So far, I've done 22 rotations. A rotation is bottom and top. That's 1 rotation. So I've done 22, and let's see about where we're getting our. This is also 3.3 centimeters in length. So now, if I'm holding it this way, I'm gonna be working clockwise. So big bend as I rotate around. Bring it around the top of the pendant. It looks like that should be enough. So what do we say, 22 rotations. And I want to give it this very kind of snaky octopus look. So I'm going to start to form it so that it curves a little. No, did a little too much there. Okay, sort of an S shape. So I might have to overcurve this and then open it back up there. So we have that S going on. All right, go ahead and trim the tails on both sides. Trim your weaving wire. For now, I'm gonna leave the weave where it is instead of tucking it behind because I kinda wanna make sure my other weaves get positioned correctly before I set this in place. So now we're gonna start over here on the right side of the pendant, another 3-3 weave, or sorry, 2-2 weave, the same as we just did, but this is what we're creating now. So we'll be doing the weave and then a counter clockwise rotation to bring it around the bead and somewhere along here. So we're gonna attach it to this single coil weave, which I didn't do on this one, but it's an improvement I wanted to make here. So grab your weaving wire. And then once again, to get the weave started, latch it on to the bottom wire. And because it's curving, I might do a few single coils around this bottom wire, just so I don't have a lot of plain wire showing. Try to push that all the way up. All right, now 2 rotations around 1 and 2, and then 2 rotations up and over wires 2 and 3. All right, same thing. I'm gonna do a few rotations, enough to get the, what do I want to say, the counterclockwise loop and get it halfway around the bead, and then I'll bring you back and tell you how many I did. I've done 20 rotations so far. So we're gonna start to bend this into a counterclockwise circle. I like to flatten this out. And then if your weave gets kind of wacky, try to smush it all back together. Space it out properly. All right. So I'd like to attach it right here. So I might need maybe about 3 more rotations. So from the beginning to here, I've done 23 rotations. Now to attach it to this wire, you can't be working off of the spool. So I've allowed myself 3 feet of weaving wire, or 90 centimeters, to work with. So from the back side, let me see here. I'm gonna do 23. Oh wait, yeah, this is 23. I needed to do one more half rotation. Now take the end of your weaving wire and find some place. I'm gonna do it right here. And thread it through. Oops. Okay, so this is what the back side looks like, attached. Come back around to the front and I'll continue. Let's make sure that's positioned. Continue doing the 2-2 weave. And from here, I'll go ahead and work ahead and then bring you back and let you know how many more rotations to do. I ended up doing 34 rotations, ending right here. So we're gonna use the same wire to go into the next weave. So it was 10 more rotations from where we anchored it down at coil 23. Next thing, so we'll separate this top wire, and we're gonna start doing single coils. 1, 2, 3. Let me continue counting these and I will bring you back. I've completed 30 rotations of the single coil. I'll take this whole wire and we're gonna do a clockwise rotation. Making it pretty tight. Coming back around. You might hear some doggies in the background. Sorry for the noise. I'm trying to record between dog barks. That's getting tiring. Okay, so I've lined it back up with the second wire, and now we're gonna weave the 2 wires together using a 2-2 weave with 2 wires. So that means I'm gonna do 2 single coils around the bottom wire, or the second wire in, and then 2 coils around both of the wires. So just to kind of go over a design element that you can use, transitioning from a larger weave and then branching off into smaller ones, that transition might look a little funny if I just split them, depending on what you're doing. It might look strange just going into 2 separate weaves. So that's why I've done the little curly that will pretty much hide that transition point. So just a little design element that you can keep in your toolbox. All right, so we're moving on with the 2-2 weave. On my reference videos listed down below, I believe this weave I'm doing right now is listed as a 3-3 weave with 2 base wires. So follow that. The only thing that's different is instead of doing 2 coils around the bottom and 2 coils around the top, I'm doing 3 coils around the bottom and 3 coils around both. So I will continue on and bring you back to let you know how many rotations we'll be doing. All right, we're back and I've done 13 and a half rotations. So remember, a rotation on this weave is 2 coils around the bottom, 2 coils around both of them. So at the end, I've ended with a single coil, so that's my half, 13 and a half rotations. Now I can start to bend and form this to kind of get the same S shape as the 3-3 weave above it, like so. And in fact, I probably could have done less rotations. I probably could have just done, let's see if that was 13, 12. I would say 11 rotations would have been fine. And it's okay that we have extra. We could either unwind it or we're just gonna curl it around the backside anyways, so not a big deal. Okay, go ahead and trim your weaving wire. And that was a pretty good estimate on how much weaving wire we would need, because I've got about 24 centimeters left over. All right, now we're gonna start in on this wire. This is just gonna be a single coil that again follows along the same path as the other weaves. It will be tucked up like this. I would say use your extra wire, but that's probably not gonna be enough. So I'll probably just cut another 2 feet. That'll actually be too much. I don't mind having leftover 28 gauge copper wire. So I'm cutting 2 feet and then I'm gonna start here and coil out. So because it's like way down in there, I might start my coils out here just because it's easier for my fingers to get to. Do a few tight coils, compress. Let's do a few more because it's easy to slide this wire down to where we need it. Want to make sure that you're using proper tension on these coils. I believe that is gone through in one of my past videos. It's listed below. All right, now that we have enough to push down and hang on to, I'm gonna trim this wire before I push it way down in there and I can't get to it. Oh. There's a howly puppy in the background. Okay. And then from here, let's push that all the way down. Excellent. Ooh, and I even did probably way more than I needed to. Yes, I did. Ideally, I'd like it to bend enough right here so I kind of cover up that hole. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, a lot of fidgeting here on camera, but that's the way it goes. Might make these all more of a dramatic kind of S shape. That way, when I'm looking at the pendant right here, I don't want to see those wires that are connecting to the bead. I kind of want them covered, so that's what I'm playing around with right now. It's just reshaping these wires. Another reason why I didn't want to tie them all down just yet. So these weaves will have a tendency to kind of expand, so make sure you compress everything. And then we will take the wires. I guess I could do it all at once or individually. Maybe individually is better. We'll start to take it around the backside like that. This is what it looks like from the front. From the front, let's fold these across. You can do it loosely, because we're going to trim them and then press them down. Yes, they just need to be coming over enough to latch down. Use your pliers and squish. These will be covered up with the next weaves. All right, so we've got the whole bottom portion done. Let's move on to the top. You're gonna separate your wires like this. 2, 1, 3, and 1. Over here on the right side, we're gonna do another 2-2 weave, and the single coil wire will be this one. So meaning when you start weaving, you'll do single coil, both coils, single coil, both coils. That way, when we do start to curve it, the single coil wire is on the outside, which allows this to bend and shape easier on the middle here. So in order to do that, could do it from the front. I'm going to use my tail, hold on to that, and start on the top wire. 1, 2, and then go around both wires once, twice. I will continue doing that pattern. 2 wires around the top wire, 2 coils around both wires. All right, you know the drill. I'll work ahead, come back and tell you how many rotations I've done. I've done 13.5 rotations. I'm going to trim the tail from the beginning. And let's start to curve this. Yeah, I don't want it too far off to the side, so I'm kind of bending it back towards the middle and then forming my circle. I'm definitely going to need some more rotations. So I said I did 13.5. Let me add on like 4 or 5 more. I ended up with 20.5 rotations. That should be enough. Let's trim the weaving wire. And And we'll just leave them there for now. We'll shape them after we get all of the weaves done. Here we're going to be doing a single coil, and I'm probably I have some spare wire from the last time, and it should be enough. I've got 12, 37 centimeters left over, so I'm going to use that. And you can do the same thing here, just get the single weave going up high. So right now, as I'm doing this, I'm just eyeballing about how long I think it is. So we can start to curve this clockwise as well. And we'll need a little bit more. So on the back here, I did end up putting my jump ring through that, so I think I know why I did that. So let's curve him over a little bit more so he's more in the center, and then swoops and comes around the front. Do need some more coils, so ooh, I don't have much weaving wire left. Let's see what we can do. It's really hard to do these single coils without enough wire. Oh, I just made it. That's good. Actually. Yes. That's gonna be enough. Okay, we will shape those later. Let's finish the other two weaves first. And we're gonna be doing a 3-3 weave, same one we did down here on these 3 wires. I ended with 20 rotations. Get this guy out of the way. And now I'm gonna bend him to the left, and then another clockwise rotation, passing in front the other weaves. Yeah, so on the back side, that's why I did that. I'm gonna end up putting a jump ring through here. And I think originally this single coil was kind of blocking it, so I pulled it over so that that opening, you can see, we're going to use that. A single coil. So I've done about almost 2.5, not quite, let's see, 2.3, 2.4 centimeters of weave. Another clockwise rotation, passing in front of the 3-3 weave. So we have this, and that should be enough. I could probably put a few extra coils on there just to make sure it wraps around the side. Yeah, that's probably good. All right, now I want to make sure that a jump ring can get through these 3 loops at the top. So I'm going to use my pliers, put it through, and I want it to be straight on. So I'm going to kind of hold these with my thumb and just twist everything over, and then I can always go in and make this tighter if I need be. And then at the same time, I still want these to kind of flow like an S shape. So I don't want to just tie them down. I mean, I could, but I want to get a little wave going. So I might bend them up a little further. That'll get all of them waving up. And then kind of hold this down and wave the ends down. So you have to kind of hold your finger where you want the bend to be. Doesn't have to be very dramatic. And that will give it more shape. Ta-da-da. And then I will start wrapping all of these around the back towards the back side of this circle. Hopefully they're all reaching over here close to it. All right, now the trick is just tucking these in on the back. So let's see. There's a little space right in here, and that's where we're trying to tuck all of the wires into. So I'll need to trim some, put a little hook on the edges, and tuck them in. So just for now, I'm going in with my pliers to kind of open up that space. We'll close it here in a minute. So that I can tuck the wires on this, along this inner curve. Let's try this bottom one that's closest first. Put a little hook on the top. Slide it in. And I'm just going to go through each of these, trim them down a little bit, and tuck them in. This part gets a little messy because there's a lot of wires to tuck in, so if you go up a little ways, that's fine too, because these weaves will be covering them. You just might have to get a little creative and get a little shovey with the wires to get them tucked in and hidden. So, might find another space here. There we go. Got them all in. Push them in, push them down. Yeah, I want them all as flat as can be over here, because this is going to be the side against the skin, and you want to try to keep it as smooth as possible. and so that the pendant lays nice and flat. But there we go. Okay. Now here's where you can go back in. Again, make sure that up here, if you put a jump ring through, that it hangs straight, which it looks like it does. I go back in and flatten this out. Even adjust it by moving it over. Okay, very cool. Oh, I forgot about the jump ring. I'm going to use 16 gauge wire for that, so let me show you how to make the jump ring. All right, with my 16 gauge wire, I'm going to trim it flush and then use my bail making pliers. You can choose whatever size of jump ring that you want. Do this size. Coil it around until it overlaps. And then use the flush side to trim it, lining it up with the other flush side. There we go. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. Yes, if I do say so myself, I am quite amazing. There we go. Your pendant. And of course, this is what it's going to look like after you have done a patina treatment. I mostly use liver of sulfur for this. And if you'd like to know how to patina your jewelry to get this antique look, you can check out my video on how to patina your jewelry. There's also listed below in the description box. I'm pretty impressed because this is all the scrap wire we ended up with, which is not a whole lot. So my measurements were pretty good. Yeah. This one did turn out a little bit longer, a little bit different in size, but that's okay. So when you make yours, if it's not exactly like the first one, I rarely ever can get things exactly the same, even if I'm the one who made the tutorial. So don't worry about that. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, a little bit more on the intermediate side. So if you're a beginner and this was a little much for you, don't worry. Try it out. You'll get better by practicing. I've got a lot of other designs that are beginner friendly. For those of you who really enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments below so that I know to make more tutorials just like this. Also, please consider joining my Patreon community. The link is listed below in the description box, and for as little as $2 a month, you can help keep the tutorials a-rolling. Thank you so much to everyone who is a Patreon member and helps me to keep going and creating this content. Once in a while, I do put some behind the scenes stuff up on Patreon. I just did a studio tour. Also, for all new Patreons, you will get a free PDF download to one of my pendants called Amphitrite, which I normally sell as a download in my Etsy store. You get that for free when you join the Patreon community. That's all for now, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please reach out to me if you're having any issues with this design. Put questions down below or send me a direct message or an email. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. Have a great day.